Frans-Paul, what are the most distinctive differences between Chinese investors in European seaports, and why does this matter?
Well, I think it's important to look not just at the nationality. So, of course, they're all Chinese. And I think we have already found out that nowadays nationality of an investor has become very important. We used to think, not so long ago actually, until a number of years ago, that nationality is really not that important. But now everybody's looking very closely at nationality of foreign investors, and especially Chinese investors. But I think the next phase should be that we look beyond nationality. So the fact that there are Chinese is important, but we should not treat all Chinese investors as identical. They also have other features. So that's something that we looked into for this report.
Could you explain some of the features that are distinctive for Chinese investors?
So, apart from the nationality which they all share, the distinctive elements are, for instance, the ownership and control. So, are they state-owned? Are they privately owned? And to what extent do owners have control over the companies? And another important feature is the level of transparency. So, do they report to external shareholders, for instance? And how transparent are they in their reporting? This is also not the same for each company.
And would you say there's a very distinctive feature between Chinese investors and European investors?
I think if you look beyond the nationality issue, I think the features are not that different. I think they have a lot in common, actually.
Congratulations, Bart and the other authors, on your excellent report.
Thank you very much.
Your report is about Chinese investments in European seaports.
Yes.
Could you explain what the relevance of this topic is?
Well, seaports are a form of critical infrastructure. They are importing and exporting all kinds of goods essential for the broader European economy, for society. So it's crucial to have a safe and a safe infrastructure in these ports. Third countries with their own interests are offering some kind of a threat to this societal function. So it's the basis between, on the one side, seaports as competitive entities, and on the other hand, it's the seaports as well entities related, very influenced by the critical sources of threats, of cybercrime, etc., etc. So therefore, keeping the balance right, that's the main issue for this research.
Now we're talking about competitiveness. I want to zoom in a little bit on that.
Yes.
Because you looked at what does Chinese investments do with competitiveness of European seaports.
Yeah.
Could you explain if there's any impact?
Yes, there is a big impact. Chinese cargo is responsible for 50% of the cargo entering in the big seaports like Rotterdam. So it is really important that there is investment in seaports so that the seaports stay competitive. And Chinese investment is considered particular relevance because of the relation between all those goods originating from China, but also related to the knowledge related to this import-export and the technological advancedness of those operations.
I see. And if we're looking at the relationship between Chinese investment and competitiveness, is it always a positive relationship, or did you also identify a turning point?
No, it's not always a positive relationship. For instance, in Rotterdam, where COSCO became shareholder of a big container terminal, Euromax Hutchison, for not that much, also as seen as a whole, about 6% of the share of the capacity of the port of Rotterdam as a whole, but container flows originating from COSCO diminished in volumes. So in Rotterdam there was a negative influence. In Antwerp a positive influence, and of course Piraeus, the biggest port with respect to ownership of COSCO, and both in the port and in the port authority, there you see a clear tipping point.
Xiaoxue, what are the benefits and risks of Chinese investments in European ports?
Well, our research shows that there are more security risks than benefits. And these are related to strategic autonomy concerns, digital infrastructure concerns and data concerns, as well as economic security and control concerns, meaning control over the ports if there is a Chinese investment that also includes the port authorities. Another relevant risk is related to US-China geopolitical tensions. Because on the one hand, you have the United States who is pushing partners to reduce Chinese investments. On the other hand, you have the Chinese government who does not want Chinese investments to be reduced. And you can really see this conflict happening over ports in Panama right now, where there's an investment of CK Hutchison.
So what can governments or the EU do to mitigate those risks?
The good news is that although the risks are bigger than the benefits, these can be managed. And really important here is to have European coordination. The new EU port strategy will play an important role here, but it's also very important to look at the investment portfolio as a whole of Chinese investments, instead of on a case-by-case basis. Furthermore, it's important to not only look at Chinese FDI, but also other forms of foreign involvement. And this includes technology, software, but also the trade imbalance that the EU has with China.